Hello and welcome to the Outlook this week. Our cover story for this week is on jobs of future, and our business editor Mr. Alam is going to brief on what kind of jobs are we looking at in future.
So this is a cover, and I think a lot of you will be amazed that in an era and in an atmosphere where there's an economic slowdown, where there are no jobs, we've actually moved from jobless growth to negative jobs in a slow growth era. So why are we talking about jobs of the future? This is actually because of two reasons. One is that the economic slowdown should kind of ease after a while, maybe a few quarters, maybe a couple of years, but the cycle has to change at some stage or the other, and the economy will grow in the near future, hopefully earlier than later. The second thing is that when the boom happens, or when the cycle changes and when the turnaround happens, are you ready with enough skills which are required for the jobs of the future? Because in the next 5 years, the job scenario, the job market is going to change dramatically, radically. A lot of jobs may vanish, may not vanish, but shrink dramatically. A lot of jobs may require new skills which most of us may not have. And then, in addition, new jobs will be created which don't exist anymore at the moment, which you have not heard about, designations that you don't even know about. So hence, if you want to grow up the jobs ladder, grow up the corporate hierarchy, you need to attain new skills, get new skills, and you need to get skills of the future, not skills of the present or skills of the past, but skills which you will require in the future. And this cover story actually talks about that. Jyotika, you've done a part of the reporting and research for this story. So tell me, how is the job market actually changing? What are the kind of jobs which are going to be created, say, in the next 5 to 10 years?
According to the experts and the people who have really worked in the job market, a lot of things which are emerging are in field of data sciences. Data is going to be the next big thing. So
Okay.
data analytics, Google support systems and all these things are going to be, jobs of future, you can say. And it's not necessary that you need to go to a formal training school or a college or a university to get these skills. Online courses which you can carry on with your job through weekend classes or through evening classes, or even sitting at your home, you can keep upgrading your skills and you can work for the future jobs.
How costly are these online courses? Are they cheap? Are they very expensive?
Well, it's a perception that they are very expensive, but they are not. For example, a IT Google certificate, it costs you around 20 to 25,000. Then there is a data science course by IBM also. Now it depends how long you take to clear that course, but it costs you around 3,000 per month. So these online courses are very cheap, and some of these courses are, for example, we have quoted a company called Coursera, which is an online education platform. They have partnerships with a lot of foreign university and foreign experts who are teaching on their platforms.
Okay.
So it's preparing you for the next generation jobs.
Okay. I think apart from the technology changing, there is also the trend of changing demographics. I think demographics is going to play a major role in defining the jobs of the future.
Absolutely.
Because the population is younger, especially in India. Majority of the population will be below 35 years. So they will demand different kinds of jobs, they will have different kinds of aspirations, and they will want to work in different kinds of workplaces.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you also addressing, meaning basically the story and the information that we are giving, is it meant for only the students or likely who will go for these kind of trainings, or also for the parents? Because often what happens when they influence them, go for the traditional ones, you don't know whether there's a market or not. So who do you address?
So actually we are trying to address a whole range of people. The students who are going to get into the job market, people who are already in the job market, they already have jobs, but their jobs and their designations may just become irrelevant 5 years from now. So for instance, if you're a data entry person, you may have to become a data analytics person, or a data reading person, or a data managing person. So you need that additional skill. So if you don't equip yourself with it now, tomorrow you'll become redundant, they'll get somebody else. So that's plus because we are talking about the courses and we're talking about the new online courses, we're also addressing the parents and the students who are going to walk and acquire some skill. We are also addressing policymakers because India is big on skill development and reskilling, but we are also trying to address whether that skill development program is in sync with the jobs of the future, because most policymakers because of the political nature of the programs, the welfare programs, and because they're vote kind of seekers, they try and address current problems, or they try and get hooked in the past. Engineering, so what can we add to engineering, right? They're not thinking about 10 years from now, how the job market will change, how the workplaces will change, how organizations will change, how sectors will change. So you need to equip and impart skills which are relevant for the next 20 years.
But tell me something, I mean, like, along with this, what is coming up is artificial intelligence and all that. But these are not labor intensive kind of thing. So in a country like ours, where every year, every month, so many young boys and girls are coming into the job market, how do we strike this balance?
So there are 2-3 things which are happening. One is, as you said, because of AI, robotics, technology, the employment elasticity, how much employment is created because of a certain GDP growth is coming down. It has halved in the last 20 years. So if a 10% growth was kind of increasing jobs by 4%, now it's only 2%. So organized sector will not be able to generate those kind of things. But if the organized sector grows by 15-20%, we can still create 6% job increments, 7% job increments, which is a decent sum. Apart from that, we have to tackle labor intensive but futuristic sectors like leather, like textiles, like handicraft. They'll all become premium products. They'll all become high profit products. The volumes may shrink, but the profitability will be high. And those are labor intensive to an extent compared to, say, software or telecom apps or something. So we need to focus on that. The third thing is we need to create jobs in the agriculture sector. I don't know what the solutions are. There are a lot of solutions. So you have to focus on food processing. You have to focus on agriculture and allied sectors and segments. But you need to create jobs in the villages and the semi-urban areas. And that is a real challenge for the policymakers.
But a small question here. The agricultural sector, one of the major problem has been whatever reforms you do, it has to be linked to infrastructure. Because unless they have market access, what is the point? They'll again go back to the same middleman, be reliant on them. So you come back to the same problem. So the kind of access that you need, say, to cold storage facilities and all, these are the entire chain that you will have to set up.
So I think it's a step-by-step operation. The first connectivity is roads and railways. That's already happening. A lot of it has happened. So now at least a farmer, middle-sized farmer, if not a poor farmer, has access to the markets. The next phase will be cold storage. So that apart from having access, you can store it and sell it as and when you want to, not when the market is depressed or when the market is very high. So you have that flexibility to sell whenever you can, and hence you kind of ensure your incomes. Your incomes become more reliable and more to your, you know what you will get and what you will roughly earn. So that's the next step. So I think it will happen over the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of things will change, but I think the first step of infrastructure, because also infrastructure also creates jobs.
We are looking at the signs of transition that we are talking
exactly.
about.
Okay. But Pranay, you tell me, you did this large story on China. What is really happening vis-a-vis China and Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir, and how does India kind of counter it or react to it?
See, number one, the focus of a story is basically because the Chinese President Xi Jinping is scheduled to be here. They have not yet announced the dates officially, but it will be in the middle of this month. India and China have had, it's a very, for as far as India is concerned, China is perhaps one of the most important country in the foreign policy agenda. It's not only a neighbor, it's a large neighbor, and historical links, and also certain problems that we've had, some of them continue to be there. So China and India have a number of opportunities in the relationship, cooperation, as well as competitiveness, which is there. How that competitiveness is handled, whether because even among friends you have competitions, but handling it, the approach that you have against each other, these things are very important. As far as China and Pakistan are concerned, this relation goes back, almost from the 50s, mid-50s, and then from 63 onwards when they had the land agreement, when a slice of Kashmir, which is under Pakistan's control, which they had given to China. So all that it flourished since then. Pakistan is one of the most reliable allies of China. It gives China a window to the Islamic world. It also is a listening post for China for the US activities, in the region. So, and moreover, Pakistan is a huge market for China's defense, hardware. About 47% of that is sold in Pakistan. Moreover, often, it had happened in the past when China wanted deniability, it used Pakistan to sell stuff to third country, where its fingerprints were not really that visible. So, for a number of reasons that. But the Indian relation that China has, that is on its own plane, because India is a huge market also for China. It's our second largest trading partner, and steadily that has been there. It is also one of the major source for our infrastructure development, which the investment will come from there. And together, since we are both rising around the same time in the same geographical space, with each country they know what is their place at the world stage. There will be these occasional brush-offs, there will be certain areas where we differ with each other, but there'll also be a number of areas which opens up for cooperation, working together. So I think, this is what our relation has been. And I quoted the foreign minister, S. Jaishankar, where he came out with a very pithy comment that, in India and China, despite what a lot of people say or the media says, it has given very little cause for concern to the world, really. It has been one of the most stable relations.
Sure.
Despite a number of issues that I have talked about, it's a very complex relationship. And together if they work, the trust, which is most important thing, which in an informal meeting, let's keep that in mind, because what they started from last year, in Wuhan they had an informal summit.
Sure.
The Chinese president and our prime minister. This is the second edition of that, where our prime minister has invited him. So in an informal meeting, you're not really looking at outcomes in that sense, with a not for agreement or that, where you understand each other better. Where do you come from? Why do you respond or react on a certain issue like this? So it's the trust that is built between the two leaders and the countries, which it will trickle down. So I think, it's a very important visit. China is, as I had mentioned, it's a very important country, and I hope India and China together will be able to play that role for stability in a world which is becoming so unpredictable.
Thank you.